So I'm a puny kid. I always was. I never really was a fighter, I guess. I was always more like the kid who sat back and watched. I mean, as a kid, I was afraid of Nerf gun battles, so I guess that pretty much sums it up. Anyways, I guess my mom realized I was a punk bitch. I was a scrawny little white boy who needed to become a man. So she put me and my cousin in a kung fu dojo at the mall.
So my first class just started off with some old women teaching us stretches. Like the Krang, the tiger, and the pearl-eating dragon. Then the real deal, an old guy named Sifu Bob. That was his real name. He started off our class by telling us,
Kung Fu is only for defense. You never start the fight, you end the fight. Kung Fu is only to be used for good.
And other crap our parents made him tell us.
Sifu Bob showed us some punches and kicks. He kind of, threw away everything he had told us by the first minute of the class. You use this punch to sneak up on enemies and punch their freaking brains out by pulling out their eye sockets.
So then after Sifu Bob taught everyone the basics, he gave us a white belt, aka a white cloth he bought for 50 cents at a store, and told us to practice what he taught us at home. Sifu Bob taught us for a few months, but the other moms thought he was too strict. I didn't, but the other moms were pretty triggered and Sifu caved in, and let his son, Gofu Bobby, teach the class from henceforth. Gofu Bobby was pretty good. He taught us well, and he was strict with us, so.
A couple of years later, Gofu Bobby got an injury or an illness, and he had to stop teaching. Sifu Bob took over again. He only taught one class. Class was 15 minutes in, and I really had to use the bathroom. I couldn't wait another 45 minutes, so I spoke up. Sifu, can I use the bathroom? I am sorry, Kevin, but Kung Fu teaches patience, fortitude, and strength. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to build character and hold it in. But Sifu, I have to go really bad. You can hold it in. Let's get started on our triple roundhouse punches. Ready? Yeta yet! Yeta yet! Yeta yet! Yeta yet!
Telling Kevin no might have been one of the biggest mistakes of Sifu Bob's life. You should never tell an 8-year-old you can't go to the bathroom.
My bladder was bursting. I was so uncomfortable. I have to hold it in. I have to hold it in. I thought over and over. Hey, holding it in isn't that bad. I don't feel uncomfortable anymore. Then I felt something going down my leg, and I glanced down. Oh, crap! I decided to play it dumb. 30 seconds later, Sifu stopped talking mid-sentence. Yeta yet! Yeta yet! Yeta! He had finally seen me. I was standing in a 10-foot diameter of my own pee. I looked down and pretended to be surprised. Uh-oh. 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 Class ended abruptly that day, and the next week the stain of my acid urine was still there. Hell, I went to the mall last week with my dad, and the stain was still there. My accident happened like 5 years ago.
After that, a new teacher called Gofu Mark donned the role of teacher. Most of the time when we were as Gofu Mark, we were either catching medicine balls, naming body parts, or sparring. Sparring was okay, but sparring is when what you actually been learning goes into effect. Wearing protective headgear and gloves, you fight another fellow student. The only problem was Sifu Bob and Gofu Bobby actually taught us technique and punches, kicks, and blocks. Most of the time, Gofu Mark taught us about bones and muscles in the human body. He'd say, Sean, tell me how big your heart is, or how many bones are in the human body, or what muscle am I pointing to right now, instead of actually teaching us how to spar. So when sparring time came, we were completely useless.
Exactly. Most of the time, we would just fake out the other spar mate and mosey around the fighting boundaries marked with cones. Your spar mate would be just as clueless, so usually the fight will last until someone accidentally punches somebody.
So then one day, my mom was like, okay, Sean, no more Kung Fu, and that was that.
However, I still had to endure it. One day, I was sparring against a girl a few years older than me that actually knew how to fight, so yes! She pulled the uppercut on me. I felt like I flew 5 feet up in the air. It was all in slow motion. I came crashing down, my back vibrating with pain. But even more painful was the fact that I got my butt kicked in Kung Fu. Everyone was laughing at me. I was so embarrassed, and I felt like passing out into a coma. A few months later, I was the only kid in the class. I guess everyone left. The number of people fluctuated, but it started off with around 30 people and ended up with just me. Probably a total of 60 different people attended the class. By the time I was the only one left, Sifu had to talk to my mom and said, you know, I don't know if we can just have him here. Sifu thought it was better if we stopped going to Kung Fu. I guess he didn't want me standing any more floors.